What's going on, everybody? I'm Johnny Brook. Welcome back to another Crafted Workshop video. In this week's project, I'm going to show you how I built these 3 different succulent planters. This first one I turned on the lathe, this second one I 3D printed, and the last one I cut on the bandsaw. I love the way all 3 of them came out. They're really cool looking, but they all are meant to go on this really cool levitating base, which allows them to float like this and spin basically indefinitely. It's a really cool conversation piece. I think it's a great home accessory project, and I love that I was able to make it 3 different ways, so hopefully a lot of you guys can try this out at home. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the project. I made 3 different succulent planters to go with the levitating base for this project. The first 2 out of some Claro walnut, and the last one on the 3D printer. The first of the wood planters was turned on the lathe, so I started by getting it ready to be mounted on the lathe. I first marked the center point on both ends of this walnut turning blank from Rockler, and then drilled a hole for a worm screw over at the drill press. And I wanted to make sure I didn't drill the hole too large, as this turning blank is still really wet, which makes it easy for turning, but that also made the worm screw a little bit more likely to tear out that hole. After drilling the hole for the worm screw, I flipped the blank and drilled a 2-inch hole with a Forstner bit, which is where the chuck jaws would hold the blank while turning the inside of the planter. Before mounting the blank on the lathe, I wanted to cut off the corners over the table saw just to save some work at the lathe. I set my blade to 45 degrees and set the fence so the blade would just pass outside the largest cylinder I could get out of this block, which I marked with dividers off camera. Next, I mounted the worm screw in the chuck jaws and then threaded the blank onto the worm screw. I then moved the tailstock up to support the other end of the blank, adjusted my tool rest so my carbide turning tool would be just above the center line of the blank, made sure the blank would clear the tool rest, and then started getting the blank turned around. And I used Rockler's mini carbide turning tools for most of this project, and they really worked great. They're very well suited for small turning projects like this. After getting the blank into round, I needed to work on that mortise for the chuck jaws. I first marked the final width of the mortise I wanted, which was actually based on the size of the levitating disc that came with the levitation display I used. And the magnetic disc is what supports the planter on the display, and I wanted the disc to be hidden in the final piece. And the disc is 2 3/8 of an inch in diameter, which ended up being just about the perfect size for my chuck jaws anyway. I used the diamond-shaped tool to angle the inside walls of the mortise so that they would match up better with the chuck jaws, and then cleaned up the bottom of the blank with the square-shaped tool. Next, I flipped the blank around and got it mounted on the chuck. To make turning pieces like this a little bit easier, I like to use a Forstner bit to hog out the bulk of the material from the inside of the piece, which also helps to set the final depth. I first tried to drill this hole on the lathe using a drill chuck mounted in the tailstock, but the slowest speed on this Excelsior lathe was still just a little bit too fast for a 2-inch hole into walnut ingrain. Because of this, I moved over to the drill press instead and drilled the hole there, using a hand screw clamp to safely hold the blank while drilling. And I needed to drill the hole at about 250 RPM, which is super slow but kept the bit from overheating. Back over the lathe, I adjusted the speed up to 1600 RPM now that the blank was nice and round, then I could get to shaping the blank. And this was my first time really turning a wet blank like this, and I've got to say it was so much easier than turning dry wood. I got basically 0 tear out and could cut through material incredibly fast, and I can definitely see why green turning is much more popular, and it makes me want to do a lot more of this in the future. After getting the outside of the piece shaped how I wanted it, I started working on hollowing out the inside. And I wanted to get the walls as thin as I felt comfortable with, just to reduce the overall weight of the planter. And the levitating display will support a max weight of 13 ounces, so I wanted to make the planter itself as light as I could. I ended up switching to one of my bigger carbide tools since I needed a little bit longer reach to get to the bottom of the piece, and I just kept scooping out the inside until I got a wall thickness I was happy with. I also checked the wall thickness using a light along the way, as any places where you can see light through are about as thin as you really want to get. So at this point, the piece was still extremely wet with water spots visible on the surface of the wood, and I wanted to experiment a little bit with drying wood in the microwave, which is something I've seen some other turners on YouTube try. And the idea is that slowly heating the piece in the microwave a few times a day over the course of a few days or weeks will allow moisture to escape faster without warping or cracking the piece. I started by weighing the piece to just gauge how much moisture I was going to remove, and it started at about 157 grams, and then I nuked it for about 20 seconds in the microwave. And you don't want to heat the piece so much that it's super hot, too hot to hold. It should really just be slightly warm. And I would nuke it 1 or 2 times, give it a few hours for the moisture to evaporate, and then just repeat the process. And over the course of the weekend, I reduced the weight of this piece to a little bit over 100 grams, reducing the total weight by about 35%. After drying the piece, I remounted it on the lathe to give it a final sanding, and I used one of these drill-mounted sanding discs, which just work extremely well, way better than holding sandpaper by hand. Once the piece was sanded, all that was left to do was some finishing, but I'll get to that a little later when I finish the rest of the wood pieces. The next planter I wanted to work on was a 3D printed dodecahedron shaped planter based on this super cool design by Flight. So I modeled up the shape in SketchUp, actually using a tutorial from the SketchUp YouTube channel for reference, and then added a recess in the bottom for that levitating disc, and a hole in the top to hold the soil and plants. Next, I exported the STL from SketchUp and imported it into Cura, the software that came with my Ultimaker 3D printer from Matter Hackers, and I messed around with some of the settings and ended up making the final planter a little bit smaller than you see here, again to reduce that overall weight, and actually got the print time down to about 7.5 hours using an infill setting of 10%. And on the final print, I also added a raft just to help keep the bottom of the piece secured to the print bed, which helped quite a bit. I used Matter Hackers Pro Series PLA in white on these prints, and really loved the way the final planters ended up looking. The last planter to work on was another wooden planter using another one of those walnut turning blanks, but this one was modeled after that same dodecahedron shape. Since I wouldn't be turning the outside of the piece, I first removed the wax coating using a scraper and a low angle jack plane so it wouldn't get all over my tools. And while I'm planing, let's talk about the sponsor of this week's video, Rockler Woodworking and Hardware. I used a ton of Rockler products during this build, including their lathe, carbide turning tools, walnut turning blanks, and walnut veneer, and I'll have links to all the items I used in the video description below. Rockler's got tons of great tools and accessories for your next build, and they're always coming up with new and innovative ideas to help make your woodworking more efficient and more enjoyable. Thanks again to Rockler for sponsoring this build. My initial plan was to just sand the facets onto the block, so I used the 3D printed planter as a reference to set the angle on my oscillating belt sander, and then got to sanding with 80 grit sandpaper, but as you can see, the wood just kind of gummed up the sandpaper because it was so wet. So after trying in vain to sand those facets, I decided to just move over to the bandsaw instead and cut in the facets. And I set the table on the bandsaw to about 30 degrees, and then used a miter gauge set to random angles to cut the facets. And I knew I wasn't going to get a perfect dodecahedron, so I just experimented with different angles, trying to keep the overall piece balanced in both weight and appearance. Once I was happy with the look, I mounted the piece on the lathe just to hollow it out a little bit more, again to reduce the weight, but you could skip this step if you're planning to use this as a regular planter and just drill a hole in the center. You really don't need a lathe for this last planter. After turning, I dried the piece, again using the same microwave method, and got it down from 400 grams to 300 grams over the same weekend round of drying. After drying, I sanded the piece using a combination of the oscillating belt sander and random orbit sander. With all three planters finished, I could finally work on the base, and the base that comes with the levitation display, which I'll link to in the video description below, is fine looking out of the box, but I wanted to skin it with walnut veneer to make it match the planters a little bit better. And I actually used the leftover walnut veneer from Rockler that I used on my bent lamination guitar hanger project, first marking out the sizes of the pieces I needed to cover the 5 faces of the base. And I first tried using a rotary cutter to cut the veneer before remembering that an X-Acto knife worked a lot better on that guitar hanger project, and I just used a straight edge to help guide the X-Acto knife and just made the cuts in a few passes. To attach the veneer to the base, I used contact cement, so the first step was to coat the inside face of the veneer pieces and the faces of the base with contact cement, and then let them dry for about 20 minutes. After drying, I could start adding the pieces, and the flat faces were pretty straightforward, but the back end with the little power jack was a little bit more tricky. I measured the hole location, drilled the hole, and then added the veneer, and I used one of these pressure rollers to make sure the contact cement bonded well on all of the surfaces, and this ended up working really well. To trim away the excess veneer, I used a combination of an X-Acto knife and block plane, and the X-Acto knife was good for removing a lot of material, and then the block plane was perfect for kind of refining and straightening that edge left by the X-Acto knife. And I also ended up chamfering all the corners as well, which I really think helped them blend with the other faces. I added the top piece of veneer last, once all the other pieces were flushed up, again using the pressure roller to make sure the piece bonded well, and I used the block plane to remove all the excess veneer this time, since I didn't want to risk gouging the veneer on the sides, and I also went ahead and chamfered the edges. I then blended the edges a little bit with a sanding block before sanding all the surfaces with a random orbit sander off camera. Finally, I could apply finish to all the wood pieces. I decided to use spray polyurethane for this since it would be easiest to get inside the planters. Also, one thing to note, I'll be using fake succulents in these planters since my cats will eat any real succulents we try to have in our house, so I'm not worried about waterproofing the inside of these planters. If you're planning to use real plants, a coat of epoxy would be a great way to waterproof the inside walls of the planters. With finish applied, the planters were finally done, and all that was left to do was add some plants and get those beauty shots. All right, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I'm just really happy with the way these 3 planters turned out. Although I did have a little bit of a boo-boo here on this turned one, which I posted about on my Instagram. If you guys don't follow me there, definitely go do that. But basically I turned it so thin that I ended up sanding through it. That's how thin the walls were when I was cleaning up the tool marks. So a bit of a bummer, but I'm still gonna keep this. You know, it's good to kind of see that you do make mistakes and that you can learn from those mistakes. I also had a lot of fun 3D printing. It's something I wanna do more of. It's just, I think, a little bit of an intimidating process for me, especially because I'm not that good at 3D modeling. But being able to do that in SketchUp, a program that I'm a lot more comfortable with than something like Fusion 360, really unlocked, I think, some possibilities for me. So expect to see more of that in the future. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this project. If you don't already, go ahead and get subscribed to the channel. I put out new project videos like this pretty much every Wednesday. Also ring that little notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. Also, I do have these new build it yourself t-shirts available. They're available on all kinds of different merch. I'll have links to those in the video description below as well. And last, I have enabled the new YouTube member feature on the channel. If you guys want to support me, kind of get some behind the scenes content, you can check that out as well. I'll have a link to that on the screen and in the video description below as well. So thanks again for watching, everybody, and until next week, happy building.